Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
Hey, so this is Everybody Hates Rand. It's your friendly neighborhood Wheelie Time podcast. Back from our break, baby. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
And here we are.
And here we are. We had a lovely holiday break.
That's true, yeah, we did. I wish it was snowing, because that would be apt.
I know. I was thinking I need to take pictures for our Instagram, and I'm like, thank God it's winter, so that I can, like,
throw it out in the snow.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to, like, mostly have my sad gloved hands in all the photos, but I'm like, look, it's winter, and here's winter's heart.
I was talking to you about this earlier.
Yes.
But the faces on the cover of Winter's Heart are truly some of Darrell K. Sweet's finest, and by finest I mean worst.
They're really horrific.
They don't... You're right. Perrin does look like a Teen Wolf character.
Yeah, like the sideburns, the vaguely pointy ears.
Yeah. It's just the eyes. The eyes feel like they're watching me.
Who is this supposed to be?
I don't know. It looks like Moiraine.
I know. I was gonna say the Aes Sedai.
There's a lady with a staff and a little, gem
on her head. Yeah.
And I have no idea who it's meant to be because Perrin, the only Aes Sedai Perrin is with are like Seanad and Masuri, right?
Yeah, they're Seanad, Masuri, and Anora. Maybe is it supposed to be Berelain? Does Berelain have a staff?
Is it supposed to be Berelain? That's a great question. I assume this is Elias, but also...
Is he on a horse? What's happening? The perspective
he looks like he's kneeling on a horse.
Yeah. I'm assuming this is Gaul.
Yeah, of course it's Gaul. Gaul's Perrin's left-hand man, I guess.
R.I.P. to Gaul. He really hasn't done anything to deserve that.
It must be Elias.
It has to be. The drawing is just so strange.
There's only one old man in Perrin's company. Unless it's meant to be Grady, but Grady's a hottie.
Grady also is, like, not that old.
Yeah, Grady's, like, in his 20s,
yeah, he's just, like, prematurely wrinkled, is what they always say about him.
He's just so tired.
Yeah. I just read a scene in Crossroads of Twilight where Perrin is, like, he looks kind of like a middle-aged man, but he's only, like, a handful of years older than us.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Do you know what that means? You go to the White Tower and you stop aging. You go to the Black Tower and you age prematurely.
You age so rapidly. You see Mazrim Tem and it adds 10 years to your life.
As it should. Fucking the source of all evil.
Yeah, but you're right. It can't be Grady because Grady is sexy. So.
I just like, who dis,
Yeah, who is this
Did
woman?
no one tell Darrell K. Sweet that Moiraine was dead?
It's like, oh, it's been a minute since she's been on the cover.
Like, oh yeah, she's one of the mains. I should throw her up there.
Yeah.
She's with Perrin, right? And everyone was like, oh my God. Don't tell him.
Nobody tell him.
This will be a good joke.
So fragile.
This will be such a blast.
I also hate the design of the red eagle here.
Yeah, red on blue.
It doesn't even really look like an eagle.
Oh yeah, that looks like a... I don't know enough about
birds.
I mean, it... Like.
I guess it vaguely looks like an eagle, but if you look at it from afar, honestly, it looks like a hummingbird, which I think is pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
The red hummingbird of Manetheren.
Yeah, the mighty hummingbird. Stab! Stab! Stab you with its...
Yeah.
Sucker.
But yeah, the red on blue is really heinous to the eyeballs.
I was gonna do alternate titles, but then I was like, I'm not gonna be able to think of it as anything other than Winter's Fart.
Yeah.
Like, I already coined the best alternate title for Winter's Fart, so.
Winter's Fart.
In the little, epigraph, is that what they're called? Why do I always get that mixed up?
I think it's an epigraph. An epitaph is what goes on your gravestone, right?
Yes. That's what I always get it mixed up with. I always say epigraph thinking, oh, is that the thing that goes on your grave? No, it's epitaph.
Epitaph. I mean, it's very confusing. Epigraph, epitaph, prologue, foreword.
So according to the epigraph, Winter's heart is actually death.
What?
So this book is titled
Death!
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 It's from the Carathian, disciple.
Carathian sounds fine.
The seals that hold back night shall weaken. That means the seals on the Dark One's prison, and I hate to break it to you all, but pretty much all of them have already weakened, so that's not news. And I don't know if any of them are, like, important plot points in this one. The seals that hold back night shall weaken, and in the heart of winter shall Winter's heart be born. Stupid, Robert. Amid the wailing of lamentations and the gnashing of teeth, for Winter's heart shall ride a black horse, and the name of it is Death. So it's saying in the bleak midwinter, Winter's heart, aka Death, will be born and will ride a black horse. Which vibes with, Robert Jordan loves the descriptor Winter's heart. He uses it all the fucking time. Yeah. It's actually my favorite title. I mean, not literally, I mean this ironically. It's my favorite title, if only because it is actually used throughout the series. Yeah. Unlike, say, Crossroads of Twilight. Yeah. Like, where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Who knows? Path of Daggers, the only thing we get there really is from the epigraph.
Yeah.
Winter's heart is Robert Jordan's favorite descriptions for Land's eyes.
As blue as Winter's heart.
Yeah, any sort of thing that he finds deadly or upsetting. Yeah. So it makes sense that he's like, it's death. Winter's heart is death. And that also vibes with Tilda Swinton's best role as the White Witch in the Chronicles of Narnia, which I watched recently on Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, that's very Christmassy. I feel like, I mean, I'm sure I always read the epigraphs because they're there, but I feel like I never digest them. Like, I guess I don't know how much they add to the reading experience.
They're kind of, paratext.
Yeah.
I feel like epigraphs are something writers use to be, to add a sort of je ne sais quoi to their work. And I think in some ways it really works if you are pulling from other texts.
Yeah.
I think a favorite thing in fantasy is to pull from within the realm of your text.
Yeah.
And therefore to sort of add, like, world building or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it can really work. Brandon Sanderson uses it really well in the Mistborn books. That's really fun.
Yes.
But I feel like Robert Jordan is just sort of he's just, like, throwing random thematic, not even thematic, he'll just be like, okay, here's the little phrase of the prophecies or whatever that I got the title from, which of course I made up for the title, and it's just like it feels a little masturbatory.
Yeah, I feel like in its best iteration, and Mistborn is a really good example whenever they have, like, they're pulling it directly from the text that then becomes a crucial plot point in the book.
When it's giving you information, that's good.
That's super neat. Like, in its best way, it provides information, so it serves like a literal function, and also it is adding to the depth of the world, which it does in Mistborn. Like, it makes it more immersive. Mm-hmm. Versus in Wheel of Time, I never feel like more immersed because there's a clip of the prophecies of the dragon at the beginning. It always feels a little bit like disorienting to me.
Yeah, I'm already pretty dang immersed for one thing. These books are thousands of pages long, so how much more immersed can I get? I'm drowning here, Robert.
Yeah.
But also, it feels like the intention is for him to be like, this story is the stuff of legend, of prophecy. These are important things coming to pass. And that is thematically already something that the series has told us and continues to tell us without the epigraphs. So, it's just not adding anything
Especially because Rand as a character is so focused on his own prophecy. Like, I never forget that there's a prophecy we're dealing with,
Yeah. And I guess, like, the epigraphs would be important if the prophecies and Rand's interest in the prophecies were tied together a little bit better, but I don't feel like they are.
No.
Let the dragon ride again on the winds of time.
No, don't let him.
Stop it! Okay, so we read half the prologue. Originally, we were going to read the full prologue, but then I came to get the book, and Sally was like, it's 87 pages long, and I choked on my own tongue, because I was like, who the fuck does this?
Robert Jordan does.
Yeah, he's a menace to
The Crossroads
society.
of Twilight prologue is fully 100 pages long.
Oh my god. These are the latter books, so we're going to be starting, we should like make a chart of the top sins of these later books.
Yeah.
And one of them is excruciatingly long prologues that do not need to be prologues.
Yes.
These could just be chapters.
Yeah, we could just start at chapter 1.
Chapter 1, baby. Here we are back in the White Tower with the torture, of course.
The torture girls.
With the torture girls. Everyone's least favorite girl group. You got the Spice Girls. You've got the torture girls. Whatever, you know?
Yeah, they really are quite...
They're frustrating. Both of these points of view, and, I mean, some prologues we get this, like, scatter shot of points of view, you know? There's, like, 11 in 80 pages, and that at least is, like, okay, fine. That sort of makes sense, the prologue structure. But this one is only 4 points of view, so 4 mostly long points of view.
Yeah, so they could just easily be in the first 4 chapters.
Yeah, let me actually find 4 chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4 chapters go from page 87 to 154. Unless I am mistaken.
I think that's shorter, right?
That's shorter, yeah. 154 minus 87. 67.
20 pages shorter than the prologue.
Come on. Come on.
I feel like someone at Tor Books was literally holding a gun to Robert Jordan's head and was like, there has to be a prologue.
Robert was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it.
Like, no, it's a fantasy book. There has to be a
fantasy
prologue.
book. There has to be an epigraph, a map, and a prologue. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And he was like,
please free me.
Please free me from this prison. Please break the seals on my prison. Okay. The prologue is called Snow.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I think I'm sensing it's like in Fires of Heaven. There were a lot of fire-themed chapter names. I bet there will be a lot of wintry themed
Snow.
title names.
Snow.
Ice.
Winter's fart.
Stop being able to think of winter-themed things that were also
Ice.
Christmas. Snow.
Frost.
Ice. Frost.
Icicle.
Icicle.
Storm. The storm gathering.
Glacier.
Glacier. Polar bear.
Let it go.
Let it go. Elsa.
Do you want to
from
build
Frozen.
one of the? It's just titled. Do you want to build a snowman?
Do you want to build a snowman?
And it's Gaul talking to Baron.
My gosh, Gaul should get to build.
I would love if Gaul got to build a snow. Okay, we've been delaying.
If we
for
ever
far too long.
graffiti a copy of Wheels of Winter's Heart, I'm gonna print out so many Frozen screen caps. They're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Actually, I'm gonna cover all the text with just pictures of Elsa.
No, just cover the front Winter's Heart, and it'll just be Elsa. Just put Elsa's face right over
and Anna
fake
and the
Moiraines.
fucking reindeer.
Yeah, and that little evil snowman guy.
Olaf.
I forgot his name.
That little evil snowman guy who's like supposed to be the comic relief character. Evil snowman.
I'm crying. I don't know. I forgot his name. He's so annoying.
He's extremely annoying.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to Winter's Fart. It's snowing.
To Winter's Fart. It's snowing and outside the White Tower, but that doesn't matter because we're in the fucking basement, aka our makeshift torture room.
Yeah.
We're catching up with the torture girls, which originated as Caemlyn and Caemlyn and Saren.
Oh my
two
god.
Very similar names with all the same vowels in the middle.
Makes me so insane.
I know. Caemlyn and Pavera. It started with Eleda going to Caemlyn and asking her to track down dirt on Alviren, but she asked in such a non-specific way that Caemlyn was like, she's clearly asking me to hunt down the Black Asha.
Yeah.
And then went to Bavara and was like, we have to go all, detective on this. So they started their investigation, and have uncovered, as we find out later, they've uncovered a sort of conspiracy where the Salidar Aes Sedai sent back some people to sort of act as spies and agents, rumor-spreading agents within the White Tower. So they uncovered that, and were in the process of uncovering that when they were confronted by 3 more Aes Sedai, Saren, Yukiri, and Dosine.
Okay. Couldn't remember Dosine's name.
Yeah, Dosine. They're not really... Of course, they're all given, bullet point personality lists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're pretty much interchangeable. The only one I find to be relevant is Pavara, and only because Brandon Sanderson made her relevant at the end of the series. But really, it's just 5, pick 'em and choose 'em, Aes Sedai.
Yep.
Doing their best, which of course means doing war crimes. As this chapter opens, they're in the process of torturing a woman named Taline, who was sort of in their group, but they're like, oh, she's Black Aja, because she wouldn't re-swear the oaths. Yeah. They have obtained an oath rod. And make no mistake, just because Taline is experiencing her torture psychologically rather than physically, it does not make it less torture.
Yeah.
They have this special torture chair, which apparently is regularly used to punish criminals.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's a pretty dark facet of Tarvalon that we have not yet been exposed to.
Yeah. They're like, there's no crime in Tarvalon, the way it's like, there's no war in Boston City.
Yeah, there's no crime in Tarvalon. Yeah, because all the criminals are terrified of your torture chair.
Yeah.
God. All the normal people are probably terrified of your torture chair. Jesus Christ.
It's freaky. You sit on it and they paint little psychological horror movies for you in your own brain.
Yeah, at first we're told, Sans, like, the torture chair is nice because it allows you to experience the quote-unquote consequences of your crimes. And in my head reading that, having forgotten the function of the torture chair, because obviously it's not called the torture chair, I was like, oh, that's kind of, like, nice. Like, if a murderer, had to confront the family members psychologically of the person he killed or something, or had to face the consequences of their actions in any sort of restorative way.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. But it's Robert Jordan, so actually it's just whatever hallucination he wants to subject people to. Mm-hmm. Which, in this case, is startlingly similar to that one time in Lord of Chaos, when all the Aes Sedai were trying to learn how to use Teleron Riyadh and, like, got sucked into a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's always women being dragged, tormented, and dragged towards a Trollocs cookpot and or about to be raped by a murderer. And it's like, I don't know, not very creative.
Yeah.
For one thing.
Yeah, it's just like slasher film nonsense.
You're just reusing the same scenario, Robert Jordan? I just don't understand. I mean, I do understand. Robert Jordan loves torturing women, but I don't really understand the function of this dumb chair.
Well, especially because they're like, I don't know, they say this is the 3rd time they're torturing this woman in this way.
Yeah, to break her.
And it's like, I don't know, I don't want to, like, get into the mechanics of how they are torturing her, but yeah, it doesn't feel like if you were torturing someone who is Black Aja, I don't know. Maybe they're thinking Black Aja, Shadow Spawn.
Yeah.
This is the consequence of your action. I don't know, man.
I just don't, it's pretty clear what side of the Guantanamo Bay debate Robert Jordan would have fell into.
Sure is.
Torture's fine as long as you're doing it to evil people. And that's sort of the thesis of all his books.
Yep.
And we've pretty much already covered that ground. Obviously, torture's not okay no matter who you're doing it to.
Wow.
I know.
Well, that was really groundbreaking, Emily.
Groundbreaking. Give me the Nobel Peace
Prize.
Prize.
I can't believe you fixed everything.
Thank you. Times Person of the Year. Emily.
Emily. Torture is bad.
Torture's bad. Seems really fucking obvious, you guys. But fantasy writers are like, no.
It's okay when the good guys do torture.
It's a moral quandary. Shut up, Batman. Shut up!
Yeah,
you guys are not maybe you guys are the heroes that Tarvalon deserves.
I mean, if you have something called, what is it called, like the chair of punishments or something?
I don't know.
Basically the torture, if you have something called the torture chair.
It's just a squatty potty.
my terrarial. It looks like a squatty potty.
Yeah, can you imagine being just stuck in that little position?
Yeah.
It would be rough.
Anyway, Talene, whatever her name is, finally
Talene finally confesses. She releases all her existing oaths on the oath rod and then is like, takes the new oaths and immediately is like, yeah, I'm Black Aja. And I'm pretty sure Aleda's Black Aja too.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, basically like, that would be really bad, but we don't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because Talene is like, Aleda has to be Black Aja because the Black Aja knows everything that she's doing.
And it's like, there are multiple ways. For
Yeah.
example, the Black Aja could be her top secretary.
Yeah, like literally it never crosses anyone's mind. Maybe Alvierin, who's with her all the time.
Maybe Alvierin, who's like controlling her every move.
Yeah, maybe the person who literally spends like 24 hours a day with her. I don't know, just a thought.
What's important to remember is that these women represent, they're all sitters,
Yes.
which means that they all either directly or indirectly condoned Aleda being raised
Yes.
as the Caemlyn seat.
Yes.
So this is a pretty, like, narrow subset of women confronting the consequences of their actions or inactions, as the case may be.
Yeah.
And to them, it's, like, mind-boggling to think that Aleda might be Black Aja. To those of us who are reading the series, even if we didn't get Aleda points of view, you know, we would probably be like, you know what's coming out of the White Tower? Stinks of dark friend incompetence.
Yeah.
So it's not like a big leap of logic to be like, Aleda's gotta be Black Aja.
No.
But these are women who do not want that to be the case.
Yeah, so they've got a healthy sense of denial, really.
Yeah, they're all more or less in denial. They have a self-interest in Aleda not being Black Aja. And while this subplot, this particular little section is a sort of distillation of things Robert Jordan really likes to do with his female characters, humiliate them, torture them, make them look incompetent, aka all these women just stumbling into hunting the Black Aja. None of them are doing it on purpose, more or less. Things like Sian throws up as soon as she realizes the Black Aja might be coming after her.
Yeah.
You know, women are cowardly, women are weak, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
None of that is great. All that said, this is one of the more interesting subplots that we get from the series. Because for seemingly the first time, we have people outside of our direct group of protagonists who are trying to deal with a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you know, complicated but good guys.
Yeah.
In that way, good people who are trying to deal with the seemingly unstoppable force of evil in the world.
Yeah.
And are really having to confront that. Like, they're looking down the barrel of, oh, Black Aja actually are in the White Tower, something that we've been in denial about for literally hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I just find it kind of fun and interesting. I don't find this section interesting, but I find the premise.
Yeah, especially because they, in their own sort of bumbling way, also make progress towards this goal. Like, they're discovering women who are Black Aja. They're getting confirmation that the Black Aja exists. They're starting to put things together, you know?
Yeah.
Versus when, like, Swan sent the girls out hunting the Black Aja, it feels like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, and in a way,
that.
it's sort of validating, because it's like, you know what, Swan could have figured out a way to actually uncover Black Aja in the White Tower without sending out these girls.
Yeah, all you had to do is ask Sian, apparently.
Yeah, all you have to do is get a little creative with the Oath Rod, apparently.
Yeah.
Which is also, you know, not to, like, divert too far into the future series, but it's pretty well known that there will be a purge, that's the term, of the Black Aja, thanks to Varen and thanks to Edwene. And it's a little annoying because, as usual, Edwene does everything much faster than everyone else and much more competently. Like, she just traps a Black Aja lady in a lie, and that's how she confirms that she's Black Aja, which is sort of like, oh, if you can just do that, what's with the torture chair, you know?
What is with the torture chair, ladies?
So that's annoying. But also, like, the Oath Rod does come back into that. They're just like, oh, Edwene recognizes that this as a methodology is pretty efficient.
Yeah.
As long as people are retaking the oaths in front of witnesses, you're good, you know? You're Gucci. Minimum of actual pain involved.
Yeah.
So that's that section.
So that is that section. No, we covered it.
Moving on to Elaine.
Actually, no, we're done. Episode over.
We are, speaking of staring down the barrel of things, we're looking at the unfortunate, far worse, I think, than the Fail rescuing Perrin. Perrin rescuing Fail arc is Elaine's succession to the throne arc. Literally the most boring. So boring, these chapters. Not just the chapter generally, but every time you go to Elaine, it's like, God.
Yeah. Maybe I should have made a paper chain for that.
Yeah, when will Elaine finally take the throne of Andor? But even then it doesn't stop, because then it's like we still have to catch up with Elaine doing queen shit, and it's like, I don't care.
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like Elaine is doing a really bad job of everything. Like, we catch up with her, and she's just like, I have sent my allies, the Saldeans and the Ale, out of the city because I can't have foreigners keeping the peace in my city. Instead, I will hire other foreigners who are living in the city already.
She's like, I can't use the foreigners that Rand gathered. I have to gather my own foreigners to make it look like I'm in charge. And it's like, bitch.
Yeah. Like, R.I.P. to Caemlyn in this scene.
I know.
Who's, like, trying so
girl's
hard.
making such good points.
Yeah. But, yeah, we open and Elaine's like, I want to hire mercenaries, basically, to keep peace in the city.
And Burgie and Diellen are both like, terrible idea. And she's like, get fucked.
I'm doing it anyway.
I'm the queen. And then she's like, also, by the way, I want to raise a huge army. I want to expand the guard. And Diellen's like, that's basically inviting attack.
Yeah.
And Elaine's like, attack is going to happen regardless of whether I'm prepared or not, so I might as well be prepared. Which is a fair point, but then it's like, yeah, of course we the readers know that Elaine will eventually be attacked by the people she names, but it's like, who started it, you know?
Yeah, but also, like, if you need an army, again, I cannot, like, I'm really struggling with this in Crossroads of Twilight, too, because we open in Crossroads of Twilight, and Davra Bashir is, like, 3 miles outside of Andor.
Oh, yeah.
Just, like, watching this shit show happen.
Just like, whoop-a-doop-a-doo.
And it's like, you had a perfectly competent army, allies of you and your allies.
Yeah, I don't know why it would have been hard, but I don't know why you couldn't have, like, imagined a scenario where you come to Davram Bashir, the Saldean army, on your own terms.
Yeah.
And are like, we are actually going to start, like, a diplomatic relationship, and that starts with you lending me an army of a force that the people in Andor at this point are already accustomed to.
Yeah. Like, it's very, like, Elaine's almost like neuroses to separate herself from Rand's governing is just creating more problems for her.
Yeah, there's just like this total lack of creative problem solving here.
Yeah.
Robert Jordan keeps having her be like, there's no other way. There's no other way for me to do this. And I'm like, there are other ways.
There are about 1,000 other ways for you to have done this.
You just want Elaine to do XYZ because that's what you need for the plot.
Yeah.
And you're really transparent about it, Robert.
Yeah. It's just very, like, I get it. You don't ever want to, like, I mean, if we were living in a sort of feudal monarchy-based state, you don't ever want to take power because someone else gave it to you or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you could also accept that. Like, she literally says to Tim in this scene, I'll have to basically swear fealty to Rand at some point because Rand's conquering every other
Rand's
country anyway.
The Constantine of this.
So why not, like, lean into that and just use the tools he left you?
I know, it's very annoying. It's like Robert Jordan is like, I need to make a feminist icon, but she has to be as stupid as possible about being feminist because feminism is ultimately stupid.
Yeah. We've got a real girl boss here.
Yeah.
Ladies, is it feminist to not use the army your boyfriend left you and instead raise your own army of incompetent men that you can barely pay?
She's like, we'll just have to drain the coffers. And I'm like, what? What about Davram Bashir?
What about the perfectly healthy army that's literally leaving the city right now?
So stupid.
Just call them back.
You don't have to pay if you, like, set up a trade agreement, you know?
Yeah.
God.
Also, Davram Bashir is literally one of the, like, 5 best generals in living history.
Yeah, also not to mention, homeboy fucking loves fighting.
Yeah. He's like, you want me to fight? Hell yeah.
He's fresh off of a very unsatisfying campaign in Ilion against the Shanshan. He's like, give me one I can win easily.
Yeah, I need a W.
She's like, okay, here are these losers.
And he's
rebels.
Like,
and he's
done.
like, done, baby.
6 days flat. You're
Yep.
Queen of Andor. It's just really frustrating.
Oh,
See,
hello?
they agree.
Yeah.
It's just very frustrating. Elaine is just being, like, as incompetent as possible. And another really frustrating part of this is we're in a little room, and it's Diellen and Brigitte. So Diellen functioning as kind of, like, Elaine's main advisor at this point, and Brigitte has been named the Captain General of the Queen's Guard.
Which she hates.
Which she's like, fuck this. And Brigitte and Diellen, for, like, unfathomable reasons, hate each other.
Why? It's impossible to say. It's just more Robert Jordan being like, women don't like each other. They're not allowed to.
Yeah, they're not allowed to be friends or even just, like, amicable colleagues.
Unless they're Elaine and Avienda. Those are the only two who are allowed to like each other.
Yeah.
And then it has to be, like, the most intense liking each other of all time, you know?
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, God, speaking of annoyances.
Yeah, so for, like, no reason, Brigitte and Diellen are like, we hate each other.
It's like, but do you?
Yeah.
Or does the man puppeteering your little strings just really want you to? As they're, speaking of annoying women, as they're sitting arguing with each other, two of the sea folk come in. Renail.
Yeah, Renail and...
Renail, who's the top Windfinder. So she sort of represents the big-ass faction of Windfinders that came to Caemlyn with Elaine and everyone else, because for some reason that was the solution to their problems.
Yeah, let's bring them with us.
And Zaida, who is, she has a counterpart in Kyrian, who we've met already, Hareen, I believe is her name, but, like, these two sea folk ships just went up the river in the hopes of cornering Rand.
Yeah.
And the one in Kyrian did, and so he's set up a bargain via the Aes Sedai there. The one in Caemlyn never did, so this is her still trying to get in to talk to Rand.
Yeah.
They are presumably rivals, Hareen and Zaida. And I think that's sort of hinted at.
Because, again, why would women like each other?
Yeah, well, they both want to be the supreme lady, mistress of the ships, after Nesta, who is missing, presumed dead, after the Shanshan attack in Ebudar.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. to that lady that one time Matt threatened, iconically. But they come in and are like, we want you to fulfill your bargain to give us Aes Sedai teachers. All we've got is Merilil, who's, like, cowering in a corner, because black women are terrifying. Oh, and they have mannish voices, by the way.
Yeah, they have mannish voices.
Robert Jordan just say I'm racist and go.
They just have such an overwhelming presence. They're so colorful, and their perfume is really strong, and it's all bad.
That's all pretty bad. But these Seafolk women represent just this sort of endless problem that has no solution, because I seriously cannot fathom why this subplot continues to be a thing and why it is extended as long as it is. Just the Seafolk hanging out being like, we want Aes Sedai teachers, and the Aes Sedai being like, we don't want to teach you, but we're all stuck in this bargain, and everyone being like, there's simply no way for us to resolve this. And it's like, there would be a way to resolve this, again, if anyone utilized creative problem solving, but this is Caemlyn, and we don't believe in that. It's against the law.
It's against the law to think, actually.
Welcome to Caemlyn, city of problems and no solutions.
It's kind of like New York.
Yeah, you're right. The Big Apple.
The Big Apple.
The Big Snapple. So as they're arguing about that, who should enter but Mazrim Tem?
It just keeps getting worse.
I know, it just... First, Elaine's, like, mistress of the house comes in and is like, following behind me directly, and Mazrim Tem comes in and is like, I'm here! Behind him are two of his evil-looking guys. He's always, got some henchmen around him at this point.
Always.
And that sort of triggers an elaborate charade in which Elaine and everyone else in the room try not to look like they're threatened, but of course they are. Mm-hmm. Because it's Mazrim Tem and two extremely evil-looking guys. And it's like, this would read very much different. This would read very differently, if it were just, like, some normal Ashaman. Yeah. We would be like, damn, these women are fantasy racist against men who can channel.
Yeah.
But it's Mazrim Tem and two guys who look super evil. Yeah. And so we've just, like, crossed this line from, hey, people shouldn't be so mean to guys who can channel just because they can channel. You know, that's bad. That's prejudice. And now we're like, maybe everyone should be mean to men who can channel because half of them, there's no way of knowing except by the evil look in their eye.
Yeah.
Who's been corrupted by Demandred, Mazrim Tem.
I know, it's become this, like, I'm sure there's a better term for this, but it's just become this, like, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Where Mazrim Tem is like, well, my guys are evil. That's correct.
Hey, actually, you were right. You were right to be prejudiced. My guys are evil.
My guys are super duper evil, all of them. And they're all also just, like, really arrogant and insufferable in addition to being super evil.
Yeah, every time I open my giant mouth, you're gonna hate me more somehow than you already did.
And it's like, I really thought I'd sort of plunged the depths of my hatred, but...
Yeah, like, he walks in, immediately snubs Elaine by, like, not...
Yeah, he calls her, like,
Mistress Elaine
Mistress
or something
Elaine.
like that, and it's like, bitch, even if you don't want to acknowledge her as the queen, she's still, like, a...
Highly or lady.
Lady Elaine, whatever, it doesn't, like, matter, but...
Yeah.
He's rude immediately, and is like, here's me and my Ashman, and we can do what we want. And Elaine's like, you're actually in a country, and you have to obey the country's laws? So, like, I have to send people to, like, fucking inspect you.
Yeah.
And Mazrim Tem's like, okay, well, I can't guarantee their safety. And she's like, great.
Because the training is so dangerous, men are dying every day at the Black Tower.
Yeah, we've never heard of OSHA over at the Black Tower. Call us Amazon. We do not value our workers.
It's true.
And Elaine's like, well, that seems like a problem for another day, and reader, it will be. But before they can really get much farther than that, one of the wise ones who is in residence in the palace, super interesting how you kicked out all the Ale, like, soldiers, but not the wise ones.
Yeah, but these ones can stay
They can
because they're
stay.
useful to me.
Yeah, whatever.
The rest of the ale could have also been useful to you.
Where's the
You
difference?
are stupid.
But one of the Ale comes in and is like, you've been summoned. And Elaine's like, prepared for this. We aren't, but she's like, oh, I have to go, like, right now. This ceremony, because it's a Robert Jordan written ceremony, requires ritual nudity. No further comment. So Elaine has to disrobe in front of everyone. And there's a very, what's that? She's not alone moment, you know, from Marvel. A bunch of ladies. Look at us.
Oh, yeah.
Girl bosses.
Yeah.
They're all like, we'll protect Elaine from the super gross men.
Yeah, they all, like, line up in front of her. Even, like, the sea folk and Meryl
Yeah.
form a wall while she strips and puts on this wool cloak.
And it's like, boy, this didn't have to happen.
Yeah, the whole scene is designed to be humiliating to Elaine for absolutely no reason at all, except Robert Jordan, again, loves to humiliate and debase his female characters.
Yeah, and to make her, like, prove that Avienda's the most important thing in her life. Whatever. And it's like, okay, this is all fantasy. Robert Jordan, it was not necessary to have that be the method of humiliation. Nudity, you know?
Yeah.
In front of men.
Especially Mazrim Tem.
Ugh, gross. But Elaine goes off to have this ale ceremony. That seems too light of a word for it. It does actually involve the one power, so there's some magical stuff going on. In which she and Avienda will be bonded as first sisters, which in the ale parlance basically means that they are adopting each other as family.
Yeah.
Obviously, this scene is riddled with its own problems. I don't even know where to start.
Let's see.
Oh, here, name your least favorite misogynistic moment in this, series of pages. Mine was when Amis also has to strip because she's being their ritual mom and giving birth to them, and Elaine is like, don't worry, she has a flat tummy and her breasts are perky as fuck.
Yeah.
We don't believe in aging. Robert Jordan doesn't believe women should age.
Yeah, also their boobs should not at all be affected by breastfeeding.
Yeah. She's like, I've had kids and, breastfed. And Elaine's like, well, she doesn't look it because that would make her less sexy.
Yeah.
For your consumption.
Needs to be sexy, yeah, for you in order to
meet your standards of male consumption. Yeah, woof.
Just jumping back real quick. A little earlier, when it's like just Brigitte, Elaine, and Diane, Elaine is talking about the water bond with Brigitte and the way that they bleed into each other.
And it makes them more emotional.
Yeah.
You'll never believe.
It makes them more emotional, and also Elaine says something about her courses, which I find the funniest euphemism for a period.
It means their periods have synced. And readers, that is our one and only reference to women menstruating.
Yeah.
People menstruating, in the Wheel of Time.
And Elaine also is like, our courses have synced up because of the water bond. Which is so funny, because if you know anything at all about women who, or people who menstruate, who live together in the same space, often get synced up on the same cycle. It's like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It has nothing... It's just so funny to me that Rubber Dern was like, I'm going to make use of this magic, and it's like, oh, okay.
And I want you to know that it's super girly, so that's why I'm going to bring periods into it.
Yeah.
It's like, God, fuck you.
Yeah, shut up.
Get fucked.
Okay, anyway, back to this completely bonkers ceremony.
Let me give it one small defense. We like to joke that, like, Elaine and Avienda are lesbians, and it is true that they have one of the deepest and most, rich for shipping, shall we say,
Yeah.
bonds between two women who are not related within the series. And I don't want to discourage anyone from shipping them.
No.
That's totally fine, and in fact, I hope if the show includes both of them, that they end up...
Hope they get to kiss.
Yeah, I hope they get to smooch. But this ceremony and this sort of importance of them adopting a bond of sisterhood, it would be a little, like, culturally insensitive, I think, to just, like, write it off.
Yeah.
You know, in many cultures, especially outside of Western cultures, these adopted familial bonds are super important and a really, like, rich part of the family and the community structure. So for Elaine and Avienda, especially Elaine, an outsider, to be, like, doing this and to be so committed to it is really good and, like, interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, sisterhood is really great and powerful, and it is important for women to enjoy and value each other and love each other outside of the realm of sexual desire as well as sexual desire. So that's my one thing about that. That said, this ritual does include the girls have to confront each other about their jealousy of Rand. They have to hit each other for some reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, violence. It's really weird.
Yeah. They have to, like, hit each other as hard as they can.
Do you have anything in your
Yeah,
notes?
one thing I just wanted to know, the form of the ceremony is they have to say, like, what's the best thing about your sister? What's the worst thing about your sister? What are you most jealous of? Then smack each other really hard.
Then smack.
And the qualities that Elaine and Avienda know in each other are traditionally masculine qualities or negatively coded feminine qualities. So, like, Elaine says that Avienda is super confident, and Avienda says Elaine is super brave. And then Elaine says Avienda is super violent, and then Avienda says Elaine knows she's really beautiful, so she uses that to manipulate men.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, not necessarily a criticism, but it did really stick out to me the first time I read Winter's Heart, that it's, like, they're never, like, Elaine is really kind or nurturing, or Avienda is really, you know, I don't know, loyal or whatever. It's all just, like...
Yeah, like, in fairness, Elaine is not kind or nurturing. Yeah. She's a total
Fair
jerk.
enough.
But yeah, it is relevant, I think, that...
Yeah, I think it's...
The qualities of value that they most value in each other are courage.
Yeah.
And, you know, power in a way.
Yeah, and power and, like... Yeah, it's, like... Yes, I agree with you that I think it's really important, especially in a series where women can't ever seem to just get along, to have a friendship between two women being portrayed as so important to both of them. So I guess I just am a little dissatisfied that there's not, like, as much, and I mean masculine and feminine is a false binary, you know, but it exists very much in Wheel of Time, so we don't get to be like, I love this person because she is feminine and also powerful. It has to be like, she's a manipulative bitch, but I love her.
But I love her because she's so brave.
Yeah. So I just found that kind of, I guess, pretty typical. The ceremony's very girl boss in its way. I know I throw that word around a lot, particularly regarding Elaine, but...
Girl boss is a shorthand for a certain type of feminism that was particularly prevalent in, like, the 90s and early aughts. And obviously it's still around, but Robert Jordan was clearly sort of making that his baseline for...
Yeah, it's kind of,
his
speaking
female
of
characters.
The Spice Girls, it's very just girl power.
Yeah.
You know?
Girl
and
power.
That's the beginning and end of the sentiment. There's absolutely no nuance at all.
Right.
Anyway, I think one of the more interesting parts of the ceremony is that then the one power is used to kind of get Elaine and Aviendha to experience being in the womb.
Simulate. Yeah, I always get those two mixed up. To simulate birth.
Yeah.
As twins, also, which is interesting. Yeah, it is, like, a super interesting way to, like, use the power.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Very.
But they wake up after this stimulated... Damn it.
Sorry, now I got it in your head.
Simulated birth. And they're both laying gently on Amisa's breast.
It would have been so funny if they were fully sucking on her titty.
Like, we little babes.
And Amisa's just like, part of the job.
But then they're like, you are for sisters, and Elaine and Aviendha are crying because they're so happy, and...
Yeah, that's sweet.
They love each other so much.
Yay.
So it's a complicated little ceremony going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
And I really don't know why all the women have to be naked. Ugh. It really doesn't, like, it really doesn't make any sense why any of them have to be naked. Or why they have to hit each other. Like, the smackos are supposed to be symbolic for, like, every time you fight, you'll want to hit each other. I've never wanted to hit any of my friends, even when we fight.
No. to physically do violence against someone, I feel like Robert Jordan really underestimates what how much of a boundary you would be crossing to physically hit someone, especially between women. Like, not to be, but buying into Robert Jordan's gender binary, which he definitely enforces throughout this series, like, women are codified to be much more reserved.
Yeah.
And much less aggressive. And so to overcome all of that societal stuff to smack another woman would be pretty transgressive. Yeah, especially if you're just having, like, a fight between friends over something probably really stupid. Yeah. Like, it's not like you're being attacked or anything. Yeah. You're just like, I'm so angry, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you. Hello. Welcome to the Smack Dome. This birthing room. This birthing dome. Birthing room. Smack room. Mad Max Smack Dome. Welcome to the Smack Dome. Okay. Lots to unpack, but we don't have any more time to unpack it. So we're going to cover the rest of the prologue next week. And from there, if you want to check out our reading schedule, that is on our website, as usual. Yes. Whenever we start a new season, it's good to remind you if you want to check it out. everybodyhatesrand.com. Thanks for listening. Thank you to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song. Glenna McKenzie has been with us for so long now. Gosh, I can hardly fathom a time when we didn't have her lovely theme song. Thank you, Glenna. Back when we were committing copyright infringement. Don't speak of it. The dark days. Thanks for being the third host of this podcast, Glenna McKenzie. We love you. Thank you to our followers on social media. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon. Speaking of which, big announcement. Not a big announcement. It's not that big. Don't freak out. We are planning a revamp of our Patreon. And our guesstimate is about 6 months. Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly because we want to take the time to do it right. Yeah. We have just passed the halfway mark of this podcast, which means we still have a significant number of books to go and a significant number of years doing this podcast if we stay on our regularly our regular schedule. So we want to redo the Patreon in our own interest, because we are laboring to produce this podcast and to produce the extra content that goes on our Patreon. We are hoping to change it to reflect that a little bit better. We don't know too much about what those changes will constitute, but as we know, you will know.
Yeah.
You will be in the loop. Never fear that. The one major thing that will affect everyone starting now is that we are closing the $10 tier. That does not mean you cannot continue to donate at the $10 level. Patreon allows you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But functionally what that means is that we are no longer going to be doing the graffitied books. That does not mean forever necessarily. Yeah. We might come back around to that. But we have a huge backlog of books to do. They each take us a lot of time. You guys have heard this from us in the past. And so we want to take the next 6 months to get as caught up as we can.
Yeah, exactly. We just want to get them in the hands of people who've been paying for them. So if you've pledged at $10 pre-2022, a book is coming to you.
Yep.
And we'll be in contact with you about that. If you want to pledge at the $10 level afterwards, we'll keep that slot open on Patreon, and just please know moving forward that will not guarantee you a graffitied book. So It's up to you whether or not you want to contribute at that level for, at this point in time, no extra reward.
Mm-hmm. Was that everything?
Yeah, I think that was everything.
Okay. And that's that.
And that is that.
That on that.
That's that on that.
Thanks, homies. Enjoy the heart of winter.
Well, it certainly is the heart of winter outside. It's like pitch fucking black outside, and it's 6 o'clock.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.